This is a dream and you have a safe full of secrets. I need to know what's in that safe. In order for this all to work, you need to completely let me in.
This is our opinion show. The one where we get rowdy, verbal, and maybe a little bit poetically violent.
You serious?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are tonight's entertainment.
I'm okay with this.
Cellar Door Skeptics presents Through the Attic Window, a classically elegant, simple, and raw emotional experience about the complex nature of this world. Welcome to Through the Attic Window with your hosts, Christopher Tanner and Chris Hanna. It's a classically elegant episode talking about are credit bureaus always this fucking unethical? I mean, seriously, folks, if you haven't been following the recent news, you really should, because Equifax, a consumer credit reporting agency, just broke the news last week that they have lost 143 million users' private information. And the deal here, folks, is that's, if you do the math, right, that's almost half of America, of legal adults that have credit history. They lost their information. How does that happen? It's like if I were walking on the street and had all of your information in a suitcase and somebody just mugged me, and they mugged me and said, we're going to take your suitcase. And I was like, I'm going to cut it in half and you can only have half. That's it. That's all you get is half. But seriously, if I had that much information, don't you think it would be pretty unethical that I wouldn't provide the best security possible to keep your information safe?
I just imagine that whoever runs Equifax is like Steve Urkel. I know this is an older reference or whatever, but I just imagine some guy in the tech, like the head of the computer science and head of security. It's just like, did I do that? Really? Did you really leave the password on the monitor, you idiot? I don't know, man. This is something that we always hear about America being, the most technologically advanced, greatest thing ever. Well, I'll tell you what, as far as the people that get our information and run our economy and do all this kind of stuff, sure sounds like a lot of people in other countries can, or possibly even in this country itself, can just hack in and take whatever the heck they want. That's my big issue, is if your job, your business is information, your job is to take care of people's stuff, and your business ethics don't say anything that I take in, I should treat as if it was my own personal information and protect in such a way that it would, like if it's my daughter's social security number, every single piece of information in this company should be like my child's social security number for the CEO. Like he should feel personally obligated to make sure it's as safe as possible. And it just, most of the time, it just seems like they're more interested in money. This is a great example of that, I would think. Yeah. The shortcuts across the board.
Exactly. And that's the big thing here. And we want to talk, again, this is our opinion show. So this is not we're not doing a bunch of research on this. I mean, I do have 3 articles, 2 from Vanity Fair, 1 from New York Times, where we talk about this. But, I mean, damn it, I'm sorry, but I am starting to rebuild my credit. The goal is to be able to have a very high credit rating. I've been doing a lot of things to try and go out of my way to, do these things, paying down my debt, being responsible with my money. And now all of a sudden I find out that, hey, by the way, I'm subject to getting my credit stolen and getting it ruined after I just built it. And I'm on the recovery. It's not like somebody like you who has been a perfectionist at his credit and has killed people just to make sure his credit score stays over 700. I'm not that guy. You are. You haven't killed people?
No, I have not killed people.
I think you might have. Are you just not willing to admit it?
No, I just have really good sausages when you come to my house. It's
really good sausages.
Nah, it's just like the whole thing on here is just like I said a minute ago. It's just ethics. You and I, we do the things we're supposed to do. We, as best we can, participate in society and pay attention to the rules. And there seems to be a point when you're a big enough money making whatever. Not all of them. Not all rich people are unethical, bad, but it just seems like a lot of people, once they get to that certain level, they just okay, what's the way I can make more money, or I can take less profit and do my job really, really well. They lose that. I don't know where, but they lose that. And I don't know if it's because they never started the company from the ground up and had to fight for every penny they get. I don't know if that's the case, but it seems like that's something in here. This is common sense. That if you want your business to be the best in whatever industry, and it needs to be the best, best protection, best service, whatever it is that you're doing. And the things that these things have been doing. So the whole thing on this Equifax thing, obviously this information was stolen, but we dealt with that before. Target had hacks. There were all kinds of other big hacks. It's a Sony hack. Tons of information was taken out of that. But that's not the problem that we're going to talk about in this. The unethical behavior. So this attack happened 6 weeks ago, and we just found out about it last week, which means these people knew about it, and they're going to give all kinds of reasons. They have been given all kinds of reasons as to why we didn't tell everyone. And I'm going to guess one of those reasons that the CEOs wanted to make a whole bunch of money. I don't know what you think.
Well, yeah, and that's actually true. The CEOs, we're going to say purportedly sold off 1.8 million Equifax shares before they announced the breach. And the reason they would do that, right, is because if you think about it, right, if you have shares worth, I don't know, $215 a share or whatever they're worth, and you own 1.8 million of these things, you would go, hold on, maybe we should sell some of these off before the price drops to $45. I mean, it doesn't take common sense to understand that if I'm worth $20 or $30 million, that all of a sudden, if I sell these things now before telling the public about the fact that, we just gave away a bunch of information and people are going to hate us and our shares are going to be worth a tenth of what they were, I don't want to only be worth 2 or 3 million. I want my 20 million. Therefore, I'm going to sell these, make a bunch of money, and then release the information to the public. How shady is that?
That's why Martha Stewart went to jail.
Exactly. It'd be like if you and I were like, okay, this podcast has a miracle drug that cures cancer. And all of a sudden, all these people buy into it. And then some scientific study gets released to us and they go, all right, you guys got 3 days or 4 days to tell the world that you guys have the cure and that your stuff is actually wrong and you don't have the cure.
It's causing cancer now.
You're actually causing more cancer than you're curing. And we go,
so you sell the business.
Ooh, yep. Hey, Johnny Brotherton, you want to buy we got a great deal for you, buddy. I'll tell you what, we'll sell you to this at half price. And he buys it, and then we go, bye-bye, we're going to Swiss Alps, or we're going to go to Amsterdam, or, I don't know, maybe we'll go to China or something like that. We're leaving. Yeah. We're taking our money and running. Some
place that doesn't do forced extradition, so they won't be able to just have the U.S. government say, bring that son bitch back over here.
Exactly. And so, man, that's a pretty shady. I mean, just
these guys already make millions and millions of dollars a year already. But just to add insult to injury, they're just like, listen, we know this stuff's going to go to hell real fast. Let's just pack a few more dollars in the pillowcase before it goes bad. And it's like, dude, really?
Yeah, and it gets worse from there.
Oh yeah.
Here's what gets worse. While they were trying to not release the information, they spent $500,000 lobbying federal regulators and Congress to relax regulations on credit reporting companies. Among the focus of these requests were data security and breach notifications, cybersecurity threat information sharing, and limiting the legal liability of credit reporting companies. Ding, 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 ding. Right there, folks. Here, we got a winner. They wanted to reduce the amount of money you could sue them for. Like, so if they make a mistake, you can no longer sue them for what you could sue them before. Now they're like, hey, we're only going to give away $500 instead of $1,000 because, you know, in reality, folks, we just can't afford to pay you for our mistakes that we could have prevented for a little bit less profit.
Well, that's one of the fun things that I like to talk about when it comes to like the conservative angle is like, let the market do what it's supposed to do. Yet we find all of these people who would be willing to take care of this kind of stuff, this decreasing the regulation. That is essentially making the market lopsided for these companies, for these insurance companies. So it's fun to say that, you know, the Democrats are the party of big business. Well, the Republicans and the conservatives are the party of deregulating the economy, creating monopolistic behaviors. And so both sides have a really terrible thing when it comes to giant business. I would say this deregulation, though, directly endangers you, me, us, and a little bit more specifically. I mean, think about it. If we take away the few regulations we have on banks and it crashed the market, what do you think is going to happen when we take away regulation on the credit score people and the people who take care of and keep our credit system trustworthy? Because that's what it is. The only reason our credit system works is because there's trust involved. Like if you trust that when I lend you money, if basically you trust me that I'm not going to screw up and ruin anything and everything, your information, but on top of that, I trust you that you're not going to call in my debts in 15 minutes after I spend everything and can't do it. Like that whole foundation is important. I mean, it really is. And if we keep messing with that regulation, reducing it, you're allowing these companies essentially to walk all over their consumers' rights.
Exactly. And that's exactly what, you know, the New York Times article talked about. They talked about how there's kind of a crack in the system, a flaw in the system. And this comes out. So despite the wealth of sensitive information in all these different databases, they basically get to fall through the cracks. And you know why? It's because the data security laws that apply to banks aren't forced upon to these auditing institutions. So there's no place that monitors their compliance. There is no place that actually scrutinizes anything they do wrong. And they actually have already been sued. There's a company called TaxSlayer, which is a tax preparation website. They do poor security, and hackers gain access to 9,000 customer accounts, right? TaxSlayer agreed to strengthen its systems and undergo compliance audits, but they paid no financial penalty. They saw no reason to change other than they didn't want to lose any more business.
Like, oh,
the commission had no power to actually do anything to them. And that's the big thing here, right? It's not that they probably would have paid if they were forced to or filed bankruptcy, but nobody forced them to do it because the laws don't allow for that. And that's the funny thing here is like, why? Who thought about this? You know, it almost kind of feels like we have neocons and conservatives running the government. There is no such thing as a Democrat. There's no such thing as a socialist in government. All we have is a bunch of conservatives walking around saying, hey, folks, guess what? We're going to benefit these companies because they're putting 9,000 jobs. They're putting 10,000 jobs into the economy here. And you guys should be happy that we put jobs in here. Not that we're going to poison your environment and financially allow you to be ruined. You should just be happy we're giving you a job.
Yeah, we're giving you low-wage service jobs instead of well-paying careers like we used to in the manufacturing industry. And in doing so, you are elevating us above the law so that we no longer have to comply to what you all have to deal with. So we are creating an oligarchic class. And as Chomsky likes to say, the United States is now a corporate state, full-fledged, with Citizens United allowing all this corporate money. It's the idea that these financial institutions have the ability to lobby to try to adjust their regulations. This would be like you and me calling up the sheriff and saying, listen, I'm going to give you $150. How about you guys don't come to my house and pick up all this marijuana I got stashed all over the place. And the cops would be like, no, why would we ever do that? But let's say there's $150,000 and I was giving it to the sheriff for his re-election campaign and my business was selling marijuana. Things change a little bit. when that kind of money moves around, businesses start having influence in the government politics. This is just on a bigger scale. This is the entire nation. So why would we allow corporations to have this much pull? I mean, this is a corporate state. This is no longer a republic. Essentially rules created by representatives of the people in the country. This kind of stuff underlies the whole point of the United States itself. And if we ruin our economy through, distrusting the creditors and all of the credit foundation as to whether or not someone's reliable, what is there left in our economy? I mean, most of our economy is based on credit and speculation nowadays. It used to be 70-80% commodities and goods and 10-20% speculation. Now that number's flipped. Some 70, 80, 90% of our economy is based on market fluctuations and speculations on commerce and money and interest or whatever. And we don't make as much as we used to. I mean, like I said, somewhere around 10 to 20% of that. So this is just another example of how you can lose the few things that we have that are relatively solid. The rest of the world tries to mimic our credit system. And this is what happens in our system. What's going to happen to the rest of the world?
Yep. And when you can start bringing in instability, you don't even know what you can create. Now, as we close the segment out, literally, this is the icing on the cake here. Literally, there's more. And normally I would say, hey, let's not be too aggressive, right? But
no. Creditors, man, let's do this shit.
Originally, what they did is they decided to put a website out to see if you were compromised. You had to sign a waiver, though.
What's in that fine print, bro?
Exactly. If you read the fine print, you knew what you were saying. Essentially, they crafted a way to waive your rights to sue them. So, hey, let's see. They literally said, "Hey, okay, here's the deal. I want to know
you for a year.
Yeah, we're gonna help you for a year. But if you want to know if you were a victim of this, here, apply for this thing. And when you apply for this thing, then you can sign this waiver." And in the fine print, you had to waiver your rights to sue them. You're the victim here. They're the company that fucked you in the asshole, and you didn't say. You're like, I don't like this. I didn't ask for this. I don't want this to happen. If I were willing and open to it, okay, fine. But in this case, I was not. Stop doing that to me. Why would you do something I didn't ask for? And you're gonna help me now? Okay, let me sign up for this. Oh, and by the way, here we go again. Now I can't sue you. Even if you were wrong. Insanely crazy.
I can't believe they did that. I really cannot believe they did that. It's just a complete slap in the face. It really is. I mean, the ability to have class action lawsuits against those kinds of companies, essentially providing some kind of detriment to just being a huge corporation that does really bad things, is that if you do it to enough people, everybody gets a bunch of money, and that will drain you. But putting out fine print to do that, who reads that crap? So it's
like a South Park episode. I wish I had the South Park clip right now where it's like where Apple does all those crazy things and they come and take over your body. Yeah. That's what that feels like. And I read that and it's funny because my dad texted me this website and he's like, you should do this. And I didn't sign up right away.
I had friends that did it too. They were like, dude, you should check this out. And I was like, no, I'm not doing that. Why would I do that? That company just lost all my shit.
Well, now in all fairness, though, okay, but you're already screwed anyway. In all fairness, though, they changed their policy. They no longer are waiving your rights to sue. Now, I haven't verified this yet.
Once they got called out, they had to change it. But
exactly.
My question is, did they lose all this information because they were just doing bad at security, or did some really, really good hacker crack into it?
Essentially, that's exactly what we were talking about earlier, Hannah, is the fact that these security teams, the oversight teams, there's no way for them to check them. There's no way for them to know or do anything. So the problem is if you don't have a regulations, you don't have a way to know whether they're doing things correctly. And that's why we have regulations. That's why we look at a socialistic society. That's why we do these things. That's why I can't argue for libertarianism here, folks, is because of the pure fact that if without regulation, you have no way of controlling these types of entities. And when they get to $3.1 billion of worth of revenue each year, there's no way to change this. And we could talk about this all day long. We could talk about how, all these sites are horrible and capitalism sucks and what are we going to do about it? And I'm saying let's push more regulations in. I don't want to get rid of capitalism. I just want to allow for some regulations, because with more regulations decreases the amount of responsibility on the capitalist entity. And that's all we're saying here, is that we have a failure, a breakdown in the system. And without that, there's nothing. Without that, we have no way to regulate everything. And with that being said, in all fairness, we should probably stop ranting as we don't like credit companies. But we do encourage you to go make sure you secure yourself through freezing your accounts at minimum. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a great night, and we'll see you next week, Tuesday, 9 p.m. Eastern, for another Cellar Door Skeptics. Have a good night, everyone.